Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? Welcome to the Coming Apocalypse. I'm Pastor Paul Begley, and the apocalypse has come to Canada. It's definitely hit British Columbia. Hundreds of people have been evacuated. Massive rain, wind, storm, mudslides, flash flooding, raging waters, bridges wiped out, giant landslides, power outages. It's the apocalypse has come to Canada. Let me tell you all about that in just a second. First, folks, seriously, www.healthwithpaul.com. That's www.healthwithpaul.com. We're only just discovering the anti-aging power of collagen. Myself and thousands of others, for example, have already experienced these powers firsthand. What kind of powers are they? It's a secret, but I will share it with you. BioTrust made a great product. You can find it at www.healthwithpaul.com. That's www.healthwithpaul.com. It is multi-collagen. No human collagen at all. Fish, eggs, and different plants make up this incredible product at www.healthwithpaul.com. This special collagen provides 5 key collagen types from 4 unique sources. In short, this blend supercharges the effects that typical collagen would have. The result? Your skin looks better, smoother, feel younger. Secondly, your hair, your nails, everything gets more thicker, more vibrant. Your energy, that's what I love, increases greatly, and the wrinkles can start fading away. Why? Because you got healthwithpaul.com. And there's a 51% discount if you place that order right now because it's a Black Friday deal. Go right now to www.healthwithpaul.com. That's www.healthwithpaul.com. You'll be glad you did, okay? Wow. Anyway, guys, let me just tell you something. Welcome, everyone, to today's broadcast. And we're just so happy. Today is the day the Lord has made. He said, let's rejoice and be glad therein. Now, the reason I'm wearing a tie is because I'm going to be interviewing Lieutenant General William Jerry Boykin this afternoon. Actually, this has to be a 1-hour broadcast. I have to finish exactly at 1 o'clock so I can run out and head over to the studios to where I'm going to be filming the interview with William Boykin. William Jerry Boykin, of course, he is one of the speakers of the webinar, Armies of the Antichrist. And boy, I tell you what, nobody better. I mean, really, who else would you want? You certainly want to get William Jerry Boykin on board to talk to you about the Armies of the Antichrist. Some of you may have seen, he was in that one film, that Revelation film, a few years ago. Jerry Boykin was in that. We've also had him on webinars before. It's been about a year or so, maybe a year and a half since we've had William Boykin. I interviewed him. But this is going to be special because he has a strategic military mind, and yet as a Christian and a studier, and he studies eschatology, he really will have a clear understanding to what's going on in the Middle East and China and Taiwan and the United States and Russia, Ukraine, okay? And then what about Russia, Turkey, Iran, Libya, Ethiopia, and other nations surrounding Israel? What does all this mean between the Shiites and the Sunni Muslims? All of this prophetic Armageddon type discussion going to be going on. So we'll be talking to him about it. So I want you to pray for me that we can do a very good job and have a great presentation for you. Get your tickets today for the Armies of the Antichrist, okay? Now, this broadcast will end exactly at 1 p.m. So let's move on. Flooding, that's right, nightmare, extreme Category 5 atmospheric river storm brings record-breaking rain and winds to the Pacific Northwest with several hundred people evacuated, power outages, and giant landslides. There you can see, there's the United States and Canada right up there. You can see this storm. Look at this thing and look at this back here. This is what came in right in here. This atmospheric river, a Category 5 atmospheric river. That's what brought this excessive rain, lightning strikes, flash floods, sweeping floods, giant landslides, huge amount of power outages, and hundreds of people having to be evacuated. Matter of fact, according to the report, more than 90% of the West is currently in some sort of drought, and the one area that doesn't need more rain is going to and has been drowned. The region known for gray skies and rainfall for getting more than its fair share up there in the Seattle, Washington area, Vancouver, Canada area, right up in there, has been hit again. The Pacific Northwest has gotten more rain the last 2 weeks than they normally see for the entire month of November, which is also stacking up to be one of the 5 wettest Novembers in the history of the city of Seattle. November rain. Cold November rain through Sunday was at 6.83 inches. The normal for the entire month is 6.3, and that's before this rainstorm hit. Category 5. It's an atmospheric river storm from the heavens raining down. Now, what happens when that does, we also see that an atmospheric river pumps incredible amounts of moisture off the Pacific into the Pacific Northwest, resulting in incredible heavy rains. Excuse me. You can see the moisture being pulled in on this water vapor image that I'm showing you right here. It's pulling in massive amounts of water, which creates this atmospheric river. We're on the tail end of a series of 2 atmospheric rivers, and we have had in a quick succession, they're back to back. Now, let me tell you what it has caused. We just got an update 2 hours ago. Here's the latest update. Hundreds of people have been rescued after the mudslides and floods have pummeled British Columbia. Get some coffee, everybody, and calm down. A helicopter has crashed. This is horrible. A helicopter has crashed that was with search crews trying to rescue people who have been trapped in their cars along the highways. Heavy rainfall has extended into nearby Washington state. Hundreds of people have been rescued from highways in British Columbia, and officials are saying after torrential rain set off mudslides that trapped people in their cars and prompted evacuations. As of now, 275 people who had been stuck on the Highway 7 near the town of Agassiz, a small community east of Vancouver, since this rain started pouring down. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation said, reported a helicopter then trying to rescue them also crashed. Jordan Turner, British Columbia's communications director for emergency management, said that by telephone that late last night, 150 more people had to be saved in other stretches of highway in the area. And he said the crews had whisked drivers away by helicopter and had cleared debris from the roads. There was no longer any more people in their vehicles, though, stranded there. But the rain has not stopped. The winds have not stopped. And the mud is thick where the landslides happen. Matter of fact, 80 to 100 vehicles had become trapped on Highway 7. Rescuers were underway trying their best to rescue them, but they heard people screaming. People were standing on top of their cars. People were trying their best to figure out how they were going to get out of this, trapped on either side. You could see the literal panic in their eyes as it flooded Interstate 5, major roadway connection between the United States and Canada. It's closed down both directions of Bellingham, Washington, about 24 miles south of the border. It is absolutely insane. Residents of Merritt, a Canadian city of more than 7,000 people, about 170 miles northeast of Vancouver, were told They better get out of their homes because of the heavy rain that had caused the Coldwater River to spill into its banks. And the city announced that the barricades would be erected to prohibit access to the city after 4 p.m. Flooding then disabled the city's wastewater management. I mean, it's chaos. I mean, the risk of mass sewage backup is absolutely imminent. It's going to back up into everybody's homes, flooding up through the toilets and into the floors. It's going to be an absolute mess up there. And so our prayers are going out to the people in Canada. The apocalypse has certainly come to Canada. And our prayers are with our northern neighbors and our friends and our brothers and sisters in Christ and some of our online church that live up in that area. We know who they are. I know Carrie lives up in Bellingham, Washington. That's one person I know for sure. Plus, there's a whole lot more. We got a lot of folks up in that area from our online church all over the place up there. And it's really a mess. And we're just praying for everybody up there. And meanwhile, while this is going on, are you serious? We got another problem. Giant hailstones of biblical proportion falling, the biggest cricket balls crashing into Lindenburg, South Africa, while the streets of Pueblo, Mexico were covered with a thick layer of hail. Hail? What the hell is falling down there in South Africa? Look at this thing. It's the size of a cricket ball. Are you serious? Are you seriously serious? Is this really going on? Yes, it is. And it's very, 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 very concerning. Look at the size of those hail bombs. Boom, boom, as they were falling in South Africa. Look, the quality of those hail bombs that hit Lindenburg, South Africa, covering the streets of Pueblo, Mexico. And the South African Weather Service issued a warning for severe thunderstorms with storm-damaging winds, hail in places along the escarpment, which means embankment, areas of several other cities that I cannot pronounce. It just got ugly. A massive hailstorm across Lindenburg, including several of their main roads, resulting in property and vehicle damage. Horrible situation taking place in South Africa and in Mexico as the extreme weather climate chaos. Can anybody say climate chaos? We did a video. We did a webinar on this. We talked about this. We told you it was coming. And here it is with the rain, extreme weather, Planet X, volcanoes, cyclones, solar grand minimums. That's exactly what Michael Bradbury, Mr. MBB333, said in this prophetic webinar. Also, Gil Brazard said these will be the effects of Planet X. Also, it was Steve Quayle who said, hey, weather modification and manipulation is also involved. And matter of fact, don't forget that Mike from around the world said it's time to tell the truth about what's happening in these last days. I'm here to tell you right now that the weather manipulation going on is certainly terrible. Get that DVD set. It's at my website right now. Oh, and by the way, the longest lunar eclipse, let's just throw in a blood moon. Not just any kind of blood moon, the longest blood moon of the century. Matter of fact, this blood moon is so big, we haven't had one like it since 1440, and we won't see another one like it again until the year 2669. That's 1,200 some years. But this longest lunar eclipse is going to happen this week, and NASA says, here's some things you should know about it. You see, first of all, it's 3 hours, 28 minutes, and 23 seconds. Or 3.5 hours long. You've heard me talk about the prophetic implications of that 3.5 hours. But besides that, also, it starts at 2 a.m. Friday morning and will get to its full blood moon status by 4 a.m. and then end. So it's a 3.5 hour process. And you will watch it as the moon starts turning blood red between 2 and 4. You'll see it just slowly turning more and more and more blood red. And then By 4 a.m., it will be blood red. 97% of the moon, there is a little sliver of the moon that will not be affected. But this is incredible. All of America will see it. All of North America, all of Central America, all of South America, actually most of Europe, the whole Western world of Christianity will be under this blood moon. This is a very significant situation, and we're watching it very close. Matter of fact, there was an article written 3 years ago about me and blood moons, and talking about this one. I was on, you know what, I've been talking about this for some time now, specifically this one coming. And I haven't brought it up for a while because we had other blood moons as well. But 3 years ago, an article was written. Who wrote this article? The Times of Israel. This was the Times of Israel back on July the 24th, 2018. 2018. And here's what the article said. It says, the celestial events, century's longest blood moon stokes doomsday fears. Celestial event triggers apocalyptic predictions from evangelicals linking the lunar eclipse to the United States and Jerusalem's embassy move, because that happened, you know, in 2018. Well, a rare astronomical event set to take place this Friday could herald the end of days, according to some who have been following the blood moon phenomenon, with a number of evangelical leaders linking the celestial event to the U.S. embassy move to Jerusalem. Now, the moon taking place this Friday will be the longest lunar eclipse of the century, beginning offering skywatchers a chance to view over 4 hours. It's actually 3.5 hours, crossing the Earth's shadow with close to 2 hours of complete eclipse. So that is true. As well as being abnormally long, this eclipse, most lunar eclipses, will appear a deep red, with the sun's rays entering through the Earth's atmosphere to project a blood-like glow onto the moon. Some Christians believe that the celestial event could mark the start of the disaster based on a passage from the biblical book of Joel, which reads, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. The internet is awash, not only with astronomical technicalities explaining these rare occurrences, but also with these prophetic forecasts, from catastrophic events to the rapture. Matter of fact, according to a popular American evangelist, Pastor John Hagee of San Antonio, Texas, he said the blood moons are historically linked with a time period that begins with a tragedy and ends with a triumph for the Jewish people. In an interview with the Christian Broadcasting Network, Hagee claimed that in era, there's a sense in the world that things are changing, and God is trying to communicate it with us through this supernatural wave. Hagee's predictions gained worldwide traction back in the 2014-2015, when each blood moon in the tetrad, a series of 4 lunar eclipses in 2 years, all fell on Jewish feast days, Passover and Sukkot, or Feast of Tabernacles. And according to Hagee, Spain's expulsion and discovery of New World in 1492 established the State of Israel in 1948, and Six-Day War also. These were all during blood moon tetras of 1967. But Jerusalem has been declared the eternal city of God, according to Donald Trump. He made that proclamation when he was declaring Jerusalem its capital, and he did that in 2018. Now, whether John Hagee or Pastor Paul Begley or others' predictions come true or not, the eclipse will be visible over Europe. And that's true. That was true in 2018, but not this one. This one is totally over the United States. In an online sermon titled Prophecy Alert, Blood Moon Rising, the popular U.S. evangelical pastor Paul Begley said he believes the eclipse is a sign of the end of days, specifically because it comes right here, right now, guys. at this very time we're in. And as I've been saying, right in the middle between this two major eclipses, the solar eclipse of August 21st, 2017, I think it was, and the solar eclipse that's coming on April 8th, 2024. It's a 7-year window. Right in the middle, you have this longest blood moon of the century and really the longest blood moon of over a millennium. This is a huge prophetic sign for the times we're in. And so I really want to say to everybody out there, pay attention to the signs in the heavens that God is telling us about. We're in the end time. Oh, by the way, meanwhile, there's other events happening like disease and wars and explosions and wars and rumors of wars. And what is Russia trying to do? And weapons in space. And Joe Biden and his 3.5-hour conversation with President Xi of China. 3.5 hours? The same week of a 3.5-hour blood moon? Are you serious? Are you serious? To me, this looks like something biblical. We're literally something biblical going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ. And I've said to some people, you need to understand that in the life, the times we're in the last days. It's not a question of if we are, it's a question of when Christ shall return. But we know he's coming. For the Bible says in an hour you think not, the Son of Man cometh. Are you ready? I'll be right back after this with a whole lot more. Get some coffee and calm down. Calm down. You know, a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows, and the dreamer's just a vessel, must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant battle, just to stay between the shore. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try, so I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand aside and let the water slip away, till we put off till tomorrow has now become the day. So don't you sit along the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance all the rapids and dare to dance the tide. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try, so I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. There's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls, but with the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. Sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky, I'll never reach my destination if I never try, so I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. No, I sail my vessel till the river runs dry. River runs dry. River runs dry. River runs dry. You know, time is running out and the river is running dry. The question is, are you on the right ship? Are you traveling on the right boat? Is Christ riding along with you? That's something you need to really, really, really think about, talk about, pray about, and ask yourself if you have Christ in your life. Salvation is of the Lord. Okay? Really important. 19 people were saved Sunday night during our Sunday Night Live broadcast, and I think about another 5 on the comments of the archives since that aired last Sunday night. So we thank God for that. And God is going to add to the church daily such as should be saved. Now, let me tell you something. I preached a message on the blood moon prophecy Sunday morning live at the Big Tent in the Villages here in Florida. It was a huge crowd. It was probably the largest crowd we have had at Freedom Fellowship this year. And it was awesome, really. We had a tremendous worship service. This Sunday, I'm preaching again. Pastors asked me to come back and preach again. And this time, I'm going to give you part 2 of why this blood moon is so significant. And some people are going to say, well, if nothing happens during this blood moon, Paul, then why even talk about it again? Because it's not just the blood moons. It's blood moons and prophetic signs. And I'm going to be bringing out to you why this time period we're in is so, so important, and why God is setting us up for it, guys, with these blood moons and solar eclipses so that we understand the time we're in and the soon coming of Jesus Christ. The Bible says in Luke chapter 21, verse 25, for there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and distress of nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves will be roaring, and men's hearts will fail them for fear, for looking after those things coming upon the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to come to pass, he said, look up, lift up your head, your redemption draweth nigh. Multiple birds, flus, breaking out all over Europe, Russia, and Asia. Millions and millions of chickens and turkeys and ducks and other types of birds have died. And it's stunning what's happening all over Europe, Russia, and Asia as another prophetic plague has hit the earth. I'll never forget being in Hollywood, Florida, about 4 years ago at a Mensa convention down near Fort Lauderdale there, in which the former director of the CDC was giving a speech to the Mensans, which are, of course, the top 1% IQ in the world, which Heidi is one of those people. So I get to tag along. So I sat there and I was listening as he said, oh, it's not a question of if there's going to be a worldwide bird flu epidemic that's going to kill millions of people. Listen to me, folks, very carefully. Not millions of birds, millions of people. He said, we're just one more mutation away from the bird flu becoming the people flu. In other words, the bird flu will jump from birds to humans. Now, it already has just in very few cases very extreme cases, it's happened, but not on a scale that he's talking about, a scale of where literally, just like what we've been dealing with, it will be airborne and it will spread like wildfire. And he said it's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. He said so far the bird flu has mutated 12 significant times, actually way more than that, but 12 significant mutations. But the next one, number 13, he said, that's the one that will jump over, and then it will go from bird flu to people, and then it's birds infecting people, and people infecting people, and people, and people, and people, birds, and people, spreading like mad. And he said, we don't have any vaccines ready for it. Because if we made the vaccines, they wouldn't hold but 30 days on the shelf. You can't go out and make 7 billion or 8 billion vaccines for a bird flu that doesn't exist yet. So you have to understand what's coming. What's coming, he said, is the apocalypse. And that was his very words. I'll never forget that. And that was 4 years ago. So I'm just hanging on, okay? Just letting you know when it happens. You heard it here, right here on this channel, because the Bible says there will be these great plagues, these pestilence, bringing great sorrow upon the earth. Also, let me tell you what else is going on. Russia is making one of its biggest moves yet to try to control the price of European gas, the European gas market. Russia has managed to secure the largest share of Iran's huge gas discovery, a move that could have huge economic and geopolitical consequences. A deal was finalized last week. People don't even know about it. To develop Iran's multi-trillion-dollar new gas discovery, the Chalias field, will see Russia companies hold major share in it, followed by Chinese companies, and only then Iranian companies. Sources close to the deal exclusively said. So who's going to have all this gas and oil? Russia, China, and Iran, the axis of evil that's being formed there in that part of the world. This is despite the Chalias position is unequivocally within the Iranian sector of the Caspian Sea, over which the Islamic Republic has complete sovereignty. Billions and billions of dollars in additional capital investment are scheduled to come from financial institutions like Germany and Austria and Italy, as the indications are that the size of the Chalias gas reserves are even greater now than initially thought. And according to one of the senior Russian officials involved in negotiating this deal, this is the final act of securing control over the European energy market. In context, the wider Caspian basins include both onshore and offshore fields, is conservatively estimated to be around 48 billion barrels of oil and 292 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in proven and probable reserves, as exclusively covered and analyzed by oilprice.com. This is a game changer for Europe, and Europe is not in control of it. The Russians, the Chinese, and the Iranians. So get ready, Europe, seriously. Your ability to stay warm and your ability to have energy is now in the hands of the Russians and the Chinese by way of the Iranians, okay? This is a big deal, guys. And you're not hearing anybody talk about it in the media because, once again, media is focused on Kenosha, Wisconsin. And every time the media does this, everybody looks this way. You got to know something else is going on back here. That's big, big, big. Okay. Now, while this is going on, let me tell you what else is happening. The socialist world wants you to get used to having nothing but be happy. Have nothing, be happy, own nothing, but stay happy. Eat whatever they give you. Be satisfied with it. Don't try to, don't, no. You should be a happy socialist. You should be embracing the Green New Deal. You should be a part of this global movement for a socialist utopia. Here's how they're going to do it. The pieces of the puzzle may fit together in ways that you do not expect. For years, the global elite have been openly telling us that one day we will all own nothing. We will have no privacy. We will be extremely happy, though, with our new socialist utopia because misery loves company. But exactly how do they intend to transition to such a society? Are they going to come and take all of your stuff? Maybe. There's millions upon millions of very angry people out there that aren't just going to hand over their stuff, their property, their livelihoods to a bunch of socialists like AOC. No. So how are they going to overcome this obstacle? Well, the truth is they don't need to take your stuff to implement this. Just hyperinflation. Continue to raise the prices at extreme rates while your dollar and your ability to increase your paycheck is stagnant. And if these two combinations continue, then you eventually own nothing because you can't afford what you do own. Oh, don't forget, taxes, and more taxes. This is all part of the breaking down of a free society. The taking people away from the entrepreneur spirit is killed, and your ability to actually try to achieve things in life will be dissipated by the globalist view of equality. There's no such thing. Because who's going to rule the socialist utopia? Oh, that's the global elitist. Of course, they don't have to follow the rules. Remember? They fly around in private jets while you are supposed to go down to smaller electric cars. Pretty soon, electric bicycles. Pretty soon, just pedal that tricycle down the street. Stay within 1 mile of your home. Work for same wages as you were in high school. And own nothing, buy nothing, be happy for nothing. Okay, this is what they want you to do. Thank God I'm going to heaven. For Jesus said, for in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I'm going to go and prepare a place for you. And if I go, I'm going to come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Okay. God is the God of more than enough. He is the God of opportunity and freedom and allowing every person to be and do as they choose. That's what freedom's about. The freedom of choice to make decisions, not to be forced upon by an oppressive government. Can I get an amen? Thank you. Well, let me tell you what else is happening. Russia has blown up things in space now. What? Russia? Yes, the Russians are coming to space. This time they tested a weapon up there, created 1,500 pieces of space junk, threatening 7 astronauts above the International Space Station, according to U.S. officials who called the strike reckless and responsible. What are those guys drinking? It feels like we've got a bunch of communist Russians drunk on vodka. I don't know. I exploded. I didn't explode. Explode. We did it. Probably in our shot of vodka. I mean, guys, why are the Russians always? Do you ever notice how they blow stuff up all the time? Blow up rockets, blow up that, This blew up. Don't worry. Remember how many times in the last 7-8 years they've blew up spaceships and rockets and blow stuff apart, and now they're blowing stuff up in space, and you got 1,500 pieces of scrap metal floating around and threatening the International Space Station. NASA's having a fit right now. They're like, what? And it's going on right now because somebody is over drinking the vodka early. So the State Department, and I'm not making fun of the Russians because my wife's a Russian, okay? I'm just saying. She's an American, but Russian. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the Russian government, not the Russian people, the Russian government seems to have issues blowing stuff up. And now it's threatening and guys, you start to see this, and this might be why Stan Deyo keeps talking about EMP shield, okay? I don't know. If you're going to keep blowing, who's got weapons up there? I thought there was not supposed to be any space wars, Star Wars. Now you know why President Donald Trump said we have to set up a space force, because somebody's got to enforce the space around us, or we're going to have these catastrophic, cataclysmic events going on, causing a massive situations and problems. And do you really want the Russians to have nukes up there? Of course not. Well, the State Department has confirmed yesterday that the debris was from a Russian satellite that was destroyed by a Russian missile testing a Russian weapon. Needless to say, I'm outraged. This is very unconscionable, says NASA's Administrator Bill Nelson. He told the Associated Press, "It's unbelievable," he said. He almost said, "Are you serious?" But he didn't. That the Russian government would do this test and threaten not only the international astronauts, but their own cosmonauts that are on board the space station, as well as the 3 other people on China's space station. It's getting dangerous up there. Nelson said the astronauts now face 4 times greater risk than normal based on the debris. It's like big, and they're big enough to track now, hundreds of thousands of smaller pieces we can't even see floating through like little missiles. Any one of them could do enormous damage if it hits at the right spot, the right time. Like, can you imagine being out on a spacewalk right now in one of those big suits, and one of these little pieces of metal, like a dart, punctures that thing. Anyway, the test clearly look at the Russians. Look, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was blinking all over the place when he saw what was going on up there, and he has condemned the Russians. The test clearly demonstrates that Russia, despite its claims of opposing the weaponization of outer space, are willing to fire the first shot. And the exploration use of outer space by all nations through its recklessness and irresponsible behavior. And there is no immediate comment. Boot scootin' Putin has now moved into space with his weaponry. Once the threat becomes clear early Monday morning, the 4 Americans and 1 German, 2 Russians on board were ordered to immediately seek shelter inside the space station. Can you imagine? This is NASA. International Space Station, we have a problem right now. We have a problem. What happened? The Russians have just blew up an old satellite. There's thousands and thousands of pieces flying by you. Would all of you find a place in your bunks to hide and get to take shelter in place? Take shelter in place on a space station? Don't worry, we have everything under control here. There's nothing, don't worry. Anyway, every hour and a half, debris will have to go flying by the space station now. So every hour and a half, duck, and then they can go back to work again, duck. This is going to go on for quite some time. I think what they should do, and I'm going to throw this out there to Elon Musk. Is it possible? I mean, you might say I'm crazy, but maybe we should launch a huge magnet. Just send that thing up on that Falcon 9. Shoot that puppy up there and then launch this satellite, but make it just a big magnet lumbering around. And then as this debris is going around, let it all of a sudden be, start cleaning up the maybe. You think I'm crazy with that, right? I guarantee you somebody's thinking about that at NASA. Oh, let me tell you something else. It's bad enough that we have all these issues. And someone's laughing at me right now saying Paul Begley has lost his mind. He thinks he's going to put a big magnet in space. Don't write that in the press. But I think it has a chance of the cloud of debris passes by each orbit every 1.5 hours. So all robotic activity on the U.S. side has been put on hold now. So the Russians have successfully slowed down all the space initiatives of the Russians and the Chinese and everybody else that's up there. So maybe this was not an accident, but maybe this was actually a brilliant plan by Boot Scootin' Putin. Oh, and speaking of brilliant plans, again, this show has to end directly right at 1 o'clock, so I've only got 14 minutes left. President Joe Biden, during the week of a 3.5-hour blood moon, had a 3.5-hour virtual meeting with President Xi Jinping. I did a video on this earlier this morning, and this is stunning. But all of a sudden, everything has changed. Biden says that we don't support Taiwan's independence. Wait a minute. What? Wait, whoa. When did that happen? We are one of 15 nations who voted and recognize and have made it we've made it public at the United Nations that we're one of 15 nations in the world that recognizes the government of Taiwan. We recognize it. We do business with it. And we've always said we had their back. And Japan says they'll come and they'll fight. These are our brothers. And European and the NATO alliance says we're there. All of a sudden, Joe Biden says, oh, no, we don't support Taiwan's independence. We've always believed in a one China policy. Since when? U.S. President Joe Biden said at a virtual meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping that the U.S. adheres to a one China policy and does not support Taiwan's independence. China television is also reporting this following their bilateral summit. The U.S. government will consistently and long-term adhere to the one China policy. The U.S. does not support Taiwan's independence and hopes to maintain peace and stability in Taiwan's Strait region, according to by President Joe Biden. Joe Biden noted during the meeting that the U.S. neither aims to change China's system nor enter a conflict with China. What do you mean not change it? You just changed it. That's not what it was, but now you're changing it. While commenting on the outcome of the summit, a senior White House official argued that President Joe Biden was reaffirming the very long-standing approach of the U.S. toward Taiwan. No, it's not. That's not a long-standing. No, it's not. There's something, I believe, guys, what's getting ready to happen is the Olympics is getting ready to happen. And Biden is going to send the Americans to the Olympics. There's been a lot of talk about we should boycott the Olympics. Don't go to China. Protect Taiwan and hold China accountable for the supply chain problem as well as the epicenter, the core problem, the origin of this pandemic. And so those should be the things that these guys should be talking about. That's what this discussion should have been about. But instead, It was not discussed at all, the origin of the pandemic, nor are we pulling out of the Olympics. And we're going to change our policy and support China when it comes to Taiwan. So this is a whole new world that just developed all of a sudden. And I haven't heard any of the major networks. Has anybody heard any of the major networks screaming and yelling and jumping up and down about this? I don't know. I didn't watch Tucker Carlson last night. I don't know if he talked about this or Sean Hannity, either one. I don't know if they did. If they didn't, then nobody has spoken about this. Someone just said nope. So he had this little country preacher from the cornfields of Indiana sitting down here saying, what in the world's going on here? This is a major, major change. So it sounds like what Biden is saying is this. We're going to the Olympics. NBC News is going to get big high ratings. We're going to brag about how great China is to host this Winter Olympics. We're not going to talk about any human rights abuses, the gulags, the prison systems, the churches that were bulldozed for Christianity. The pastors have been thrown in prison. We're not going to discuss the origin of the pandemic. We're not going to do any. We're not going to, and we're rolling over on. We're rolling over on Taiwan, and we're going to do it. And we're going to go to the Olympics, and it's all going to be. We're all going to hold hands and sing "Kumbaya, Lord, Kumbaya, Kumbaya, Lord, Kumbaya." And we're even going to sing it in Chinese while eating fried rice. I mean, seriously, we're just going to adapt to the communist culture. And then once the Olympics is over, once it's over, and all the cameras are gone, and all the athletes go back home, and a little bit of time passes, not much, just a little bit, all of a sudden China is going to drop the hammer on Taiwan and demand that they now come back into the fold. And if they won't come peacefully, they will come forcefully. And because if China does it right now, nobody goes to the Olympics. So you know they're going to wait till the Olympics is over. And that 3.5-hour phone call was to make sure that President Biden works with President Xi on making sure that the U.S. is coming to the Olympics. You got to know that's what happened. We're living in the last days. We're in the end times. And when you think about all the events that are taking place right now, you're watching a global governance. It's coming from every direction now. Economic global reset, it's coming. Biometric technology to implement a one world crypto digital wallet technology, right hand, forehead, mark of the beast type thing. It's coming. One world governing bodies, changing laws, overriding local government sovereignty. In other words, it doesn't matter what the American Constitution says, or the British Parliament says, or the German Parliament, or the Israeli Knesset, or it doesn't matter what anybody's own government says. There is a new world establishment. There is a beast kingdom found biblically in the Bible, which is in the process of rising. This 7-headed monster with 10 horns, who looks and sounds and smells like hell itself, is rising up. Full of lies and hypocrisy, they promise us the rainbow, but all we get is the rain. A stripping of your personal freedoms. It's like the president said the other day, this isn't about personal freedoms or a democracy. It isn't. Last time I read and checked, although I don't think it's even in our school history books anymore, the Mayflower and all the little boats that came with it were carrying refugees from England to get away from a governing monarchy that was limiting their ability to have freedom, not only to do what they want, but freedom to worship, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to assemble, freedom to worship their God. They left that land to come to another area to try to establish a new beginning for that very purpose. It was all about personal freedom, and everything was about a democracy or a republic. So when I look at some of the things that go on and I hear some of the comments that are made, I begin to say to myself, this is the last days. It's not when are they coming. It's not, well, out there somewhere in the future. It's now. And soon it'll be too late for millions and millions of people. So Paul, what should we do? The Bible has prophesied it's going to happen, and it's happening. We're to occupy till he comes. We're to be soldiers of the cross. We're to stand onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war with all of our hope, all of our prayers, and all of our peace, all of our love, and our devotion and loyalty to the Lord Jesus Christ. It is the end times. It is the last days. And as I'm going to be preaching this coming Sunday at Freedom Fellowship in the Villages here in Florida, service starting at 9:30 a.m., I'm going to give you part 2 of the significance of the blood moon and the apocalyptic signs. If you want to know the rest of the story, which is absolutely going to affect every one of you listening to me right now, you're going to have to figure out which side you are really, truly going to be on. You say, well, I'm on the side of Christ, but, you know, I go along with all the abominations. Really? I want the rapture to come tomorrow, if it could. And I don't know when it's coming. I don't know the day nor the hour of the Lord's returning. And we can debate eschatology, timelines, and sign lines, and try to figure out the exact process. But the reality is nobody knows the day nor the hour. No, not the angels in heaven, not the Son of God. But Jesus said, but my Father only. But he did say, you will see these signs. And he read them right down in Matthew 24, right down the line. And we can see them. And in some ways, we wish we couldn't see them. We want it to go away. But folks, do me a favor. Start praying. Start asking your family if they're saved. Start asking people, do they know Jesus? Don't try to force them to be, your kind of Christian. Don't try to make them a member of your denomination or something. Don't try to run roughshod over them. Offer them Jesus. Offer them eternal life through Christ. Tell them Christ loves them. And let Jesus save them, cleanse them, and start to do a work on them just as he has done you and I. These are the last days. Please come to my website at paulbegleyprophecy.com. I'm getting ready to go interview General William Jerry Boykin. I'm getting ready to go interview him right now for the webinar. If you don't have your ticket, please get your ticket. Get it purchased today. I want to thank all of you for being here. Check out my website, everything that's there, so that you can learn more about the soon coming of Jesus Christ. Thank all of our moderators for being with us here today. I'm going to have to end this show today just like this because of time constraints, but I'll be back here tomorrow, and I'll be back with some more updates later today on this YouTube channel. Remember, folks, Jesus is coming. He's coming after those that are ready. Are you serious?